Fact, the Gemara on Daf Mem Daled Ovid Beis v'Dilma Asi LaSure Min Achiv Al Aptur Umin Aptur Al Achiv. We have a real problem here because we have to worry about the possibility that he'll be zochem in a hefker. Now, once he's zochem in a hefker, then although we've established, according to Rabbi Yossi, he's chayav in Maaseh Doraisa, and the reason for that is because hefker matana no one was zoche in it. But now you're telling me that the Rabbana made a takana that he can't be choser bo. So as a result of that takana, you've established a full-fledged hefker and a patur of Maaseh, but that's only on a Rabbanan level. On a Doraisa level, he's chayav in Maaseh. He doesn't realize that he's chayav in Maaseh in Doraisa. Just 1 second. So the Rabbanan said that what? That he cannot be choser bo, and if the Rabbanan established a patur Maaseh d'Rabbanan, and in truth, although there's a patur Maaseh d'Rabbanan on it, the Doraisa level is chayav in Maaseh because no one was zoch in it. So what do they get? What's the chashasha? What's the takola? They'll be Maaseh on payros that are chayav in Maaseh d'Rabbanan onto these payros, or the other way around, that are only chayav, that they think are chayav min Rabbanan, when in truth they're chayav d'Oraisa because there was no inzocha, and therefore the hefker was never chal, and therefore there's a chayav Maaseh d'Oraisa. But in their minds, they think that since the Rabbanan established that he can't be choser, the Rabbanan are creating an absolute hefker that's impossible to rescind, and therefore hefker is part of an Maaseh min Rabbanan. So the payros now of this sod have the identical status as otzitz she'eno nakuf, right? What's the halach of otzitz? You have payros or tvua growing in a flower pot. So there's a perforated flower pot that is nakuf, and it sucks its yanika from the ground. That's considered mechubel karka, and it's chayav d'oraisa. Then you have an otzitz she'eno nakuf, like it's totally flat. It's not perforated. It doesn't really suck up the moisture and the nutrients from the ground, and it's not called mechubel karka. But the Rabbana made a takana that even in an otzit she'eno nakuv, he's chayav in Maaseh min Rabbana. Now, what's going to happen now? He's going to be ma'aser from these payros that the Bailam were mafkir onto payros that gidlu etza because it's only hefker d'Rabbana in their minds. Or the opposite, they'll come to be mafresh from payros that grew in an otzit she'eno nakuv that are only chayav d'Rabbanan onto payros that are chayav b'Maaseh d'Oraisa. And afresh in such a case is not meaningful, and he's eating tevel. So we're really in a bind over here if you're talking about something that's chayav in truma and Maaseh d'Oraisa, but the Rabbanan said, well, we're not going to let him be choser bo, it's hefker, and therefore he's part of a Maaseh on a d'Rabbanan level. So Gemara says, "Damrina le ki ma'asrat aser minei ube." The Rabbanan are going to add a mandate, and they're going to tell that person who's zochem in a hefker that you better be mafresh minei ube from within the tvua that you were zochem in a hefker. Be mafresh Maaseh. Take off 10% from that tvua. Don't be mafresh from here to there, from there to here, from makom acher. And in that sense, we have no chash of a michshol. So Gemara raises the following objection. Beisvei, we have a brayso that says a mafkir is karmo, v'las shachar, the very next morning. Omad ubitzoro. He went ahead and he indicated publicly that he's choser bo, that he wants to rescind his hefker, and he starts shopping, he starts harvesting the grapes on the vine, or whatever was growing. So immediately the next morning, he indicates that he's choser bo min hefker. So in that case, the brayso paskins that the chazorah is meaningful, and there's no p'tur hefker. Chayiv b'peret v'olos b'shikur peah. He's chayiv in all matnas aniyim. So even though hefker is parted from all these mitzvahs, the Torah was marbe with the word tazov, which is a superfluous word, to teach us that a person who's mafkir and then he's choser v'zochabo, he's chayiv in all of these. Upatim in a maser. But as far as maser is concerned, we don't have that ribui. We only have that ribui in matnas aniyim, but not in maser. So the din remains as it were that hefker is potim in a maser, even though he himself was choser and zochabo. So again, if this brisa patters you up from maser, it would seem that applies even within the first 3 days. And that's against the brisa that we had, the reisha of the brisa on Daf Mem Gimel and Beis, that says that Yechai because of the Ramoyim. So the Gemara wants to say this all depends upon Ula and Reish Lakish. Bishleim Ula, if we'll interpret the brisa in the light of Ula, that Mafkir Sadeu is the Rabbanan of Rabbi Yossi, and they hold that immediately it becomes Hefker and it leaves his Rishus. The Rabbanan made a Gzeira that for the first 3 days he could be Chozerbo, and the Hefker won't be Chal, and he's Chayev b'Maser. So if that be the case, then we don't have a stira between the Brisos. The first Brisa says that Yechayev in Maser, the Rabbanan Ketani Le, that's already a din to Rabbanan because of the Ramayim. And that's why he's chayiv in Masa, because they prevented him from being choser bo. But the second brisa that says he's potem in Masa, that's doraisa k'torila. That's going back to the din doraisa, that the hefker is chal immediately going to the Rabbanan of Rabbi Yossi, and therefore the tfu is pturim in a Masa. So that we could work out. Elo l'reish lakish, but he says the first brisa is like Rabbi Yossi, that even on a doraisa level, it never left his rishus because no one was zochet, and therefore he's chayiv in maser doraisa, and he's choser b'min hefker. Because now we have the problem on my potem in a maser. Why is a person who's mafkas karmo, and the next morning he gets up and he starts harvesting his his grapes? He's potem in a maser. Why is he potem in a maser? He's just being choser b'min hefker. No one was zochet in it. It never left his rishus. And Rabbi Reish Lakish is saying that the brisa is attributed to Rabbi Yossi. Amalecha, Reish Lakish would answer you, Ki Amrano, when did I say the first brisa is Rabbi Yossi? That's with regard to the first brisa. But the second brisa that you're quoting, I have to concede, is Rabbanan who hold that the hefker is immediate, it's a complete hefker, and that's why he's potem in a maser doraisa. So let's just see if we could add a few more minutes. Let's see, I'm looking at the clock, and we did pretty well. So I think we have a few more minutes, because it would be nice if we could make a siyum on the fourth parak. Let's see. Ibai is saying, but the Gemara now wants to find another reconciliation or alternative to the two brises that seem to contradict it. If you want to say that the brisa of Mafkir Karmo, and the next morning he starts harvesting the grapes, is Rabbi Yossi of our Mishnah, who says that it's not Hefker until someone else is Zocher, because Hefker is like Matana. Nevertheless, don't ask me a kasha why he's potem in a maser, because we're talking about two different scenarios. The brisa that establishes that a mafkir es sadeu, and it says in the Sefer that until someone else is zocher, then he could be chozerbo, or someone else could be chozerbo. Mina hefker, and if he's chayv maser doraisa, and that's Rabbi Yossi, as we said according to Reish Lakish, is the afkir beyond Petrein. He was mafkir in front of only two people, and hefker in front of two people, according to Rabbi Yossi, is not yotzim mirshuso ad sheyizkebo achet, and therefore he could be chozerbo. And if he does so, then the hefker never was chal, and he's chayv in maser. But the price of a mafker is karmo. which states that if Chazer Bo is potem in Amasa, that's the Afker B'Apei Tlasa. He was mafked in the presence of 3 people. And in this case, even Rabbi Yossi is moded that that's a hefker gamur. He has a full-fledged decision. There's an umdana that the hefker is yotzim Mershu. So he's not just being Masalik himself, but he's being mafkias, bailus, being makna into hefker. And therefore he's potem in Amasa. So he wakes up the next morning and he harvests his grapes and he's potem in Amasa. He's being zochem in a hefker. And why is that? Because he was mafked in the presence of 3 people. If the hefker took place in the presence of 3 people, then it's hefker gomor, complete hefker, even according to Rabbi Yossi, and it patters up from an amaser, even before someone else is zochen. But if he was mafked only in the presence of 2 witnesses, lo avi hefker, that's not real complete hefker. And that would mean whoever zoch is being makabel matana, and it's not potem in a mas. Now the Gemara quotes Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, who disagrees with Rabbi Yochanan's drasha, and he says that Torah filu be echad avi hefker. According to Torah law, you can be mafked in the presence of 1 aid. Ma tam omru. Why did the Rabbanan establish b'fnei shlosha? Hidei she'echad zocha ushnayim me'idim. In other words, a Maisa Hefker becomes a serious Maisa Hefker when you have 3 people. One of the 3 will be Zoch in the Hefker, and the other 2 will be made on the Maisa Hefker. And in this case, there's no way that the Mafkir could be Kofer and deny what he did, because we have a built-in Eidus of 2 Eidim, he'll be contradicting 2 Eidim. So in this case, we know that he's serious about his Hefker, and he wants to be Makne to Hefker, even according to Rabbi Yossi. And Eini Yochel Lachzer Ba'afilum Lo Zocha Ba'acher. Hadron Alecha Ein Bein Hamudar and B'li Neder. Tomorrow we start Perek HaShutfim. And, we may be able to actually cover the Daf for Shabbos. I'm not promising, but that would be a nice chupar. Okay, then have a great day. Thank you so much.